Alright, so I'm going to be using MDF board here for the plaque. Alright, and now I'm just going to take this template right now. You'll notice that I have a little bit of excess, so I'm just going to quickly trim this portion off. Alright, so I just finished cutting the board to size. This is kind of what it's going to be looking like. Alright, so now I got to cut out the template. As I'm cutting out this template, it's been very helpful so far because I'm starting to notice problem areas, possibly when I'm cutting it out on the MDF with the jigsaw. So for instance, I'd be looking at this little area right here. I'd be like, okay, well, where would I start cutting that? So I'd be starting to cut at this angle. So I come along at this angle, all the way along, and then join up and meet. So my blade doesn't have to deviate. All right, so if you started over here, you'd have to take a quick turn and you'd be burning the MDF, or else you wouldn't actually get the angle that you're desiring. Whereas this, there's very little movement. Okay, then you'd stop right there, then you'd start over here, right? And you go like this, and you'd be turning slightly, and then you move it all the way up so you join here, so you're not making drastic movements with the jigsaw. So all I'm basically saying is treat this template when you're cutting it out, this tedious work, take it as practice for what you're going to be doing on the MDF, your final product. So you don't have to do as much sanding or manipulation afterwards. Alright, as you can see, I got a little bit more play on this side. I want to keep this template as close to the edges as possible. So I'm going to be cutting this. So I'm just going to be squaring that off. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfectly square. I just happen to have a square kicking around. So I'm just going to draw a line that's fairly close. And now I'm going to take it to the table saw and give it a cut. Alright, so I finished trimming up. You'll notice I also trimmed up over here. Alright, so I don't have to actually go through all this with my jigsaw. So I'll just be going over here, along here. One other thing that you might find useful is before you start tracing, make sure you put some tape down. Alright, just so that your template doesn't move as you're tracing. You can always just take this off afterwards, right? And just draw in where you missed. Over here and over here. All right, but you don't want to be misaligning anything or wasting time trying to line up all the spots that you've traced already to match the spot that you've moved. So you might find that useful. And so right now I'm just going to trace with a pencil, and then I'm going to move to marker. It's just that this paper is really thin. If it was just a little bit thicker of a stock of paper, then I'd have more of something to grab a hold of to guide the marker. Maybe I'm just being a pansy, but I'm just going to trace it with pencil first and go from there. Alright, finished drawing the template on. I think the pencil will be good enough. So I'm just going to skip the step with the marker and let's get at it. So the plaque is all cut out, and all that we're going to have to do now is sand. You'll see a lot of little saw marks. Hopefully this is coming out in the camera. And then we'll have to just smooth these out. But overall, pretty happy with it. It was a breeze to cut with this MDF, that's for sure, opposed to some hardwood. And here's the skull on it. So yeah. All right, till tomorrow.